How incredibly hot is it out there right now?
I just saw a friend post it was 123 at his house.
Mm.
The official high today is 115, but I think it was quite a bit hotter than that.
Yeah, it wasn't supposed to get as hot as it did today. It was getting to the mid 90s, but it's just bone dry here, which is usually it's humid. But
Hmm.
we've had like zero rain for the last 3 weeks.
Well,
So
we have had zero rain until Friday, which I was out of town for I think 4 months, 5 months. It is the
it
driest and hottest Arizona year on record, I think.
that's saying a lot. That's really scary,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. We lost some big limbs in a monsoon. Um, Lots of trees are upside down.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez. So this is about the start of monsoon season, right? Out
The
there.
monsoon is officially June 15th to September 15th. So normally
Oh,
we see a very wet July, wet for us. We got no rain in July and no rain. And so we missed the entire first half, like no big dust storms, no, I'm just nothing. I've lived here for 39 years. I've never seen that.
wow.
Well, I mean, I probably don't remember the first.
The first few.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've only been out here for 14 years, 13 years. And this is except for this week's going to be pretty hot. It's been the mildest summer. It's
Hmm.
actually been gorgeous out here.
So, well, we're lucky enough to now be in Flagstaff half of the week, or at least a couple days a week, and up there, that's at 7,000 feet. So it's cold to me at night. You know, it's the high has been often in the mid 70s or low 80s. So it's just beautiful weather. I'm not looking forward to being up there in January when the high is 14, but for
Does
now
it
it's
really
great.
get that cold up there?
It gets very, very cold. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I've
Arizona's
never
a
been to
crazy state.
Flagstaff. It's yes, for many
Yeah,
reasons.
yes, right. Some we're proud of, and then there are others.
Well, I don't want to take up all your night, so let's get this going. So, well, welcome to BallSave.
Thank you. I'm
Yeah,
so
and
happy to be here.
well, thank you, and please introduce yourself.
I'm Rachel Bess. Rachel Bess Hernandez.
Okay, is that new? The
It's new as of like a year and almost 2 years ago.
okay,
See, I've got a little
because I know
cat
when we
outside my door here, sticking her little feet underneath the door. Can you hear that? If so, I can put her to where she can't
you know what I think it
try and get in.
adds to everything. So
Okay.
this is very cat friendly here. Now, so because when I met you, and we first met a little over a year ago, I think you had just gotten married,
Yes.
and it was actually we were introduced by Tracy.
Yes.
She is a Stern Army volunteer. She's not a Stern Army volunteer. That's horrible to say. She is possibly the greatest Stern Army volunteer ever. She is
Yes.
amazing.
She does so much for pinball in Arizona in general. Um, Everybody that knows Tracy loves Tracy. She's started Bells and Chimes. She helps run one of the leagues. She volunteers at any pinball related thing. She's just a wonderful, sweet, generous person, and
Yes.
an extremely good player.
Yeah. So that's the one thing where I love pinball. I love everything about it. I am the world's okayest pinball player. So,
Do you have that shirt? I see that shirt a lot at pinball
oh, I've
shows.
never seen it. Oh, that's funny.
I think Double Danger makes it. It's world's okayest pinball player.
Yeah, and I might not even be that good. So it's just I've been in one pinball tournament in my life, and I had to go against Roger Sharp twice in it.
Oh, well, that may be poor planning on your part.
Yes, yes, yes. No, it was everybody that was against him that evening. It was just like we're just looking around and say, why are we even doing this? It's ridiculous.
Oh. Where was that?
That was at, it used to be called Level 257, and it's now called Pac-Man Entertainment.
Yes, I've heard of it. Yeah, I have not
Yeah,
been there, but
yeah. It's so what's great about it is it's Namco's. Namco is a manufacturer of coin-op equipment. They're the folks that created Pac-Man, right?
sure.
And so they made this really cool family entertainment center, or FEC, with bowling alleys and everything, and like with really good food in the middle of them all. And their goal is to open up a lot of these, but of course that was before COVID. So
Right. So the one in Chicago is the only one, right?
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is in an area called Schaumburg, which is near where I work, near where a lot of the pinball factories are. So a lot
Hmm.
of different pinball factories have games in Pac-Man Entertainment. But
Yeah, that's
so
really cool.
so tell me about your background, because you have a really unique background. It's really cool, and it goes beyond just. It didn't start at opening your location. So give me your oeuvre, your background, if you will.
Okay. Well, I actually have a degree in painting, fine art. And so I was an artist. I taught art, um, and then just continued to do art for 15 plus years, and that was my sole source of income. Um, and then I kind of parlayed that a little bit into games. In between, I co-founded ZapCon, which is the Arizona Pinball and Arcade Convention. Started with the MAME machine many, 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 many years ago, and just kind of kept going from there. One pinball machine, two, four, 20, 50. I don't know how many, but somewhere around the 20 machine mark. I didn't need to be storing them. I didn't need paying for storage on top of having them in my house. And it just so happened that the guys that own a bar out here called Yucca Tap Room, which is a legendary punk bar that's been around for about 50 years, wanted to expand and have an arcade in it. And they kept kind of asking around, like, who would be a good person to do this? They knew that they didn't really know, um, they knew the bar business, they didn't know the arcade side. And people sent them my way, and we became partners and opened up the first incarnation of Electric Bat, which within a year tripled in size. And then we just last week opened our second location up in Flagstaff, both the bar and the arcade, in the middle of a pandemic. We are, as far as I know, we are the first bar of our type to be legally allowed to be open in, if not the state, at least that county.
Wow, there's so much to unpack there. Which, number one, opening a second location. Number one, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
But also under these circumstances is just mind-boggling, in a good way.
Well, yeah, it is. And I would say that probably if there are four of us that are partners in the Flagstaff venture, and if we were starting the process in July, we would probably have had second thoughts. But this has been going on for over a year, just as, a lot of lawyers, a lot of just all of the nuts and bolts of opening a location. So by the time we finally got the keys, it was like, well, here we are. So we're operating at 7% capacity. We've chosen our venue. It holds well over 500, I think close to 600 people. It's a huge. It's got a huge stage. It's right off Route 66, so a lot of touring acts come through there. It was formerly known as a place called the Green Room, and it's now Yucca North and Electric Bat Arcade. So
Okay, so Yucca Tap Room now. Maybe you're the person that told me this, or maybe I totally made this up on my own. Was it considered the CBGB of the West, or
yeah, it's very very much like a CBGB's of the West. It's already been just in the short time that we've been around, I have spent, you know, hours playing pinball with Mike Palm of Agent Orange. Like, he just, you know, they're in there playing and come on, no, let's play one more game. Like, he wouldn't, like, Munsters was his thing. We were, I don't know how many beers in, and he wouldn't, like, oh, there's a lower play, those second set of buttons. It was just crazy things that you wouldn't think would be happening for something like this. It's just every day, Kayla and I wake up and go into the arcade like, man, this is what we get to do. We get to go and play and fix, a lot of fixing also, games for a living. And it's really, really fun.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So when I visited, again, it was about a couple of months actually, because I was down there for a buddy's graduation. It was one of the first trips I took since I had, I guess, equated myself with the pinball industry, and so when I visited, it was the first incarnation of Electric Bat.
Okay, so
And
you saw the galley view where it was like a row of pinball machines down one side and a row of video games down the other.
yes, yeah,
Okay.
and then there was the little like booth
Hmm.
where you could imagine that nefarious meetings had happened in the past.
Yes, that there are a lot of things that have gone on at that booth, and since and well before my time.
And one of the things that, and you're going to think I'm a total geek about this, but what I loved was not only was the selection of games, but the first time I went in there, your head was in deep in an older, I think an EM by chance, when I was there. It was definitely an older game. And
Probably
you,
really solid state. I don't. I
yeah, okay, yeah, so yes, yes, but you had also had created these awesome tables that went in between the games, not just the pinball, but the video games too. And you had like funky art, like maybe comic book, like pages of comic books in there as top. But these were like perfect for a bar and for when you're playing games.
Thank you. Yeah, each one is different. They're like old. One of the things that I really love are those old advertisements for along the lines of the X-ray specs type stuff, but I like the stuff that's even a little bit weirder, all of these, rings that will tell the future and gory kits that you can make and, just fake blood advertisements, those sorts of things. So I have a lot of those around the arcade and on a lot of those tables. There's some old vintage horror comics on there as well, stuff like that.
Wow, wow, and really quick. It is Electropacket Bat is one of my favorite places. It's one of my happy places in the world. And then when you expanded, you turned it into a tiki theme.
So whenever we expanded, we cut basically the size of double doors out of the wall where the pinball machines are. And then the new side of that is maybe twice again as big as the original side.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got another row of pinball machines and a couple of drivers down on that wall, more pinball machines along the back wall. And then in the corners is the world's smallest tiki bar, and it has it's like horror tiki. So I made these like giant cutouts of Creature from the Black Lagoon and Alien and the Attack from Mars aliens, and they're like cheersing each other with tiki drinks and stuff. They're just 7-foot tall versions of those. And then in the corner there's this little bar, and it holds, I think there's usually about 4 or 5 seats in the corner, and you can go and get your tiki drinks and your glow-in-the-dark electric bat cups. And our biggest seller is a pin killer, which is our version of a painkiller, but they're all the drinks are named after pinball machines or arcade games, and their takes on classic tiki drinks.
So what is a painkiller? I'm not familiar with that drink.
It's it's pineapple juice, orange juice, coconut, couple types of rum, some bitters. There are several different versions of actual painkillers. This is our version of one of those types. It's a lot of booze and some sweet stuff. And that's pretty much what the basics of tiki drinks in general is.
Yes.
But
And you won't get scurvy, which is good.
right. It's usually some citrus in there.
Yeah. There's some musician that just came down with scurvy. James Blunt.
You can still get it?
Okay, this is, yes, it was just a headline, but James Blunt gets scurvy, and then you look down further because he was on an all-meat diet to show how masculine he was, and then he got...
James Blunt was trying to be like, look at me, I'm like, whenever I think of masculine guys, he's not even on the long list, much less the short list. And now that you've gotten scurvy from your diet, that list got, I mean, come on, man.
Well, I think that just shows why he went on the diet, because people like you are doubting him. I mean,
Well,
I think you may be responsible for his
it's
scurvy.
my fault. I'll send him a lime.
Or a painkiller, or a
right.
painkiller.
Yeah.
And so what are some of the other drink names that you have? Because you said they were arcade themed.
We've got a Walking Dead, which I guess is both
Yes, it is.
zombie and pinball themed. A Medieval Madness, Black Lagoon, things along those lines.
Okay, so now is the new location, Flagstaff, that just opened, does it have the same kind of feel, or is it?
It's very different.
Okay.
So whenever you walk in this bar, to the left is a smaller stage. I should be able to give you the dimensions, like probably about 8 pinball machines wide, and this is how I'm doing it. And then another 5 to 8 deep, but it sort of curves around.
Okay.
It was used previously as a karaoke stage, like a small acts sort of stage, and that there's a bar in this main room. You go through the main room, and then the back part is the huge stage where you would see, bigger acts and like where giant mosh pits would be and that sort of thing. And since it's going to be a very long time before we can have the live music again, right now the arcade and pinball machines are in the front room. So they're on that karaoke sort of stage. There's still plenty of room for, some people to do those types of acoustic set type things on that stage, and a few nearby that. And in the back, it looks like what we're going to do is just start putting up picnic tables, so everybody can be very far apart from each other, and also space out some more games back there. But overall, like Electric Bat in Tempe has a very kind of enclosed, it's its own space. In this one, it's much more integrated into the bar as a whole. The theme is similar.
Okay.
Yeah, and so this bar has a lot of, it has less grit than the original Yucca Tap Room, as a lot more like red velvet and like fire lighting, that sort of stuff.
So what is fire lighting? I'm not familiar with that term.
Oh, it's just like LED lights that.
Oh, looks like oh, okay.
Like
So
fire,
it's literally looks like fire.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so it's almost more loungy then.
Very much more loungy than the original one. The original one is, you can tell that it's been around for a while, and that's what I love about that place. This one is actually, the building is much older. The building is over 100 years old, and it's been many things. It's been breweries. It's been. It also has an interesting history about things that we know that have gone on in there before we acquired it. Some less legal than others, I think. So it's great to be in these places that have this history. It's historic. Almost all, if not all, of downtown Flagstaff is historic. So you can't change anything from the outside. It's stone walls, like lodge pole type interiors. It's 100 and something years old, so it's a cool spot. For out west, that's very old.
Well, yes. I mean, I grew up on the West Coast, so it's just, to me, like, oh yeah, that's really old. But then when you get further, even in the Midwest. We're near a town where they actually filmed Groundhog Day.
Oh,
It's and you go through there, and so it looks like the downtown Puxatawny, but some of those buildings are 150 years old, and some of the areas they have little monuments to people that went and fought in the Civil War and things like that. So it's it reminds you how young the West is.
yeah.
So now to kind of get back, when before Electric Bat and you got into ZapCon, you kind of went over briefly, but it's you're more than just collecting these games. I mean, you are, would you say, the sole technician on your games? So I mean, you're pretty familiar with all these games, not just pinball.
Yeah, I am the primary technician on them. Kale is also now helping out with that. But yeah, I don't have outside techs. Every once in a blue moon, when something is just like amazingly screwed up, there's a guy in town, Firebird Pinball, who he's been out there one time to
Okay.
help. But yeah, I am the tech. I am the tech, the janitor, and now Kale is also those things with me. So.
No, do you also work the bar as well? And
Rarely. I've done a little bit of the tiki bar stuff. I never work any of the main bars. That's not my forte. I mean, I can make a mean drink, but my energy is better spent like soldering or fixing things or making tournaments happen.
and I heard that solder is not good for drinks.
Definitely not. Or skin, as it turns out.
Oh, goodness. Oh, that's a visual. Thank you for that. Now in ZapCon, you were also working with Marco, right? For a period of time.
Yeah, so ZapCon, this would have been our 8th year. So it's been going on much longer than my relationship with Marco was. But yeah, at the beginning, we started that about 5 years in. I think Marco came, I think, years 5, 6, and 7. And I did not work with them the first year. I think I was working with them on the second 2 years. It's all kind of a blur. And my job over there was officially the marketing director, but it really was everybody that works or worked there had a lot of different hats. So what I did in reality was a lot of just the logistics for going to shows and going to a lot of shows. So the best part about that job was being able to go to 16 pinball shows a year. I mean, it's exhausting. Anybody that's been to a pinball show knows that it's fun and exhausting as an attendee whenever you're working it and speaking at high volumes for 16 hours a day, 4 days in a row. I mean, it's amazing that anybody outside of their 20s can even can do that. But I got to meet so many people and see so many arcades and just meeting all of the people related to being in that job was just so cool.
Yeah, because I mean, you were, for lack of a better term, I mean, you were kind of a fixture or a personality within the pinball community, just because you were going to all these locations or all these trade shows and whatnot, and as you said, going to all these arcades and obviously you had mentioned earlier that the folks at the Yucca Tap Room, were searching for an arcade, within their location. But I imagine going to these different locations, it was kind of giving you the itch a little bit.
Yeah. It wasn't something that I had thought about opening on my own until they mentioned it. And even at the beginning, I was like, well, I'm not sure if I want to, because I'm still painting full time and doing all these other things. Like, do I have the time to like start a bit? It wasn't really on my mind, but whenever I started guiding them on here's how I think you should do it, here's what I think would work, it very quickly became, whoa, do you want to just do this? And then, I thought about it for a little bit, and yeah, but by that time I did have the benefit of seeing so many places, and just, becoming familiar with so many different aspects of the industry, that that was a real, it was very helpful.
Yeah. And one thing before I forget, this is weird. So this is the second episode that I've done, and the first one was with a guy named Logan Bowden. I don't know if you've
Oh.
heard of him.
Hmm.
Yeah, but he's with Quarter World. He had the same degree as you do.
I
Yeah, he's a fine arts major as well, which is, so apparently that is the thing. So I can only interview people that are in the coin op world and have a fine art degree.
I love Quarter World. So, we had a chance to go up there when we were doing the show, up there this last year, and we hung out there for a little bit. And I didn't know that. I met him, but I didn't know about his background. I wish I would have known, and that we would have had time to chat. Hey Logan, let's meet up on the internet sometime.
Well, at some point when we can all get together at a show or something, we will. I'll definitely make sure you guys get some time.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it's they're I talked about it in the show, the first show, but they've totally ripped up Quarter World, and they it's an old building. I don't think as old as Flagstaff, but it's getting there. And
Oh, I've been.
okay, so yeah, so you see, it was an old theater, and so they're redoing the floor, but they're upgrading some things. They still have the Tesla coil, but it was when he showed me the pictures of everything ripped out. It was a little sad because it is, again, one of my happy places. But they, when COVID hit, they started renting their machines out to local, houses and apartments around Portland. And so they're still in dozens and dozens of homes around the area. And so I guess what that brings me to is, so you have this awesome business, and you created another location in the middle of the pandemic. So tell me, what are you doing right now? Because let's start with the first location in Tempe, where you've been there. You had to be closed for quite some time. I'd been following you on social,
Many
and
months.
yeah. So tell me, when did you guys shut down, and how were you able to get through this?
We shut down on St. Patty's Day, and I was following what Logan was doing as well, and we rented out some machines, also to get through those first few months, and then once we could open up, because there was a brief reopening time in Arizona. So during that time, we did not fully reopen as an arcade for most of it. We were doing private reservations. So you and up to 9 of your friends, and it was mostly groups of like 4 or something, could rent out the arcade and just have it to yourself. And we would go and um, make that happen. I was definitely bartending during that time, because it was pretty limited. Um, and that's how we got through it. Then for a while it was a hard shutdown, and it was already in the 110s here. So moving machines when it's that hot is not good for you or the machines.
No.
So we just kind of ate it, those months, and used that time to go back and forth. It was while we knew that Flagstaff was likely to open, so we went up there, and we're used that time to work on getting that all cleaned up and ready to go.
Okay. So you're renting some games out for a while now. So the Tempe, Arizona, is it fully open now, or it's
No.
okay?
Um, right now, still, you cannot open. Out here, I don't know how they've done it in other places, but out here we have many different types of liquor licenses. So if you're a restaurant, you have a couple of different types available to you. But if you're just primarily a bar, regardless of whether or not you serve food, um, you have a certain type of liquor license. And those specific ones, the ones that we have, were cherry picked to be shut down. So they were shut down. People that held those liquor licenses, regardless of what you sold, they shut down gyms. They shut down tubing. There's a salt river out here, and people sometimes go inner tubing on it. They shut that down. It was all very, a lot of it seemed very PR based and not necessarily based in fact. Our governor has some financial interests in some of the restaurant stuff, I think, and so his buddies did not get shut down. So it felt very, very unfair to the bars, and still the bars with our liquor license are shut down, regardless of what steps from day one, from back in March, like early on. We put up all the plexi, we kept everybody far apart, we did all kinds of sanitation things. I mean, we were really going above and beyond as a bar to be responsible, cleaning off the machines all the time, having people wear masks, those sorts of things. But now it looks like finally people are going to be able to start reapplying to open once the numbers go down in the particular counties. Flagstaff, the numbers are much lower than they are in Tempe, Phoenix, different counties. So that's one of the reasons Flagstaff was allowed to open.
Okay. I was earlier today, I was on a phone call with an association for operators, the folks that typically run games in bars. For the audience, so they know most of the time the bars do not own the games that are in there. You are a little bit different. In Quarter World is a little bit different, but they're also an operator and operate in different bars. But this was a collection of operators from all over the country, and it just really depends on where you are. Where some areas like in Portland, you have these different coalitions of states. So the West is pretty tough, and they're still in phase one in the Portland area. Quarter World is not able to open up yet, but some of the bars that they operate in, they're able to open up. But it's most of these places that we were talking to this afternoon, they're at 50%. Some of them are at 75% at best. I mean, you mentioned 7%, which is the wackiest number I've ever heard, which I love.
That was sort of our choice because of how we haven't opened the entire bar. We've only opened the front part, the back part with all the stage and all that. We're still working on that and getting it ready to go. So in that front part, the ways that we could space people out with plenty of, there's no argument that people are very well spaced out, and we just decided to go with a capacity that worked out. It's around 50 people, 45 people at a time. So yeah, 7%.
Now, and so if Flagstaff, even at 7%, you are open at this point?
We are open, yeah.
Okay. And so it's obviously there's a group of people and a large group of people that just want to get out. So what has the reaction been so far?
So it was actually really weird. We did zero advertising for opening up. I mean, none. There was a little bit of word of mouth to some of our industry friends up there, just other breweries and businesses like that are up there in restaurants. And we had lines out the door. We turned away dozens of people. People really, really want to get out. We wanted to have kind of a soft opening, like it'll be kind of a friends and family because nobody knows about it. They found out, so it's been slammed. It's been slammed, as much as you can be slammed at 7%.
7%.
Yeah, and we also didn't advertise because we weren't sure at the last minute, if numbers changed, if anything happened, then we wouldn't be able to open. So we didn't want to put out a bunch of press saying, come on down, and then have people like, oh, sorry, we're just kidding. Try again in 2 weeks. So.
Now with Flagstaff, do you do you have any idea of when they're possibly relaxing? Because you said that the numbers there are much better than they are in Tempe.
I think it'll be a few months, a couple of months, before everything is much better. You know, I'm just Electric Bat is really fortunate in where they are in Flagstaff and the way that we're laid out in Tempe, with the bar. There's some hoops we can jump through. You know, we can actually shut ourselves off from the bar. As you remember, there's some double doors, so then
Mhm.
the arcade doesn't have to follow those same rules as a bar does. We just can't sell liquor inside the arcade while that's going on. But we have some other friends, you know, like Cobra, for example, Cobra Arcade. They're just a liquor license, and they have no way of shutting off games from. Basically, Cobra, as it stands right now, cannot open until the numbers are down at 3%. Well, 3% is going to be well into next year, I would imagine. So there are so many businesses that I've seen out here, and you know, on the West Coast, a lot of the Portland, Seattle, California, like those that are just they're just shutting down. We're going to lose so many amazing arcades over the next year, and it's so sad. You see people trying not to do GoFundMe's and things like that, trying to be resourceful in any way that they can, renting out machines, selling shirts, doing those types of things just to bring in like the minimal amount of income. I think a lot of people just don't realize how many, like, you're well into the 5 digits just every month that you have to spend on rent and bills and those sorts of things. If you're a full bar like that, it's just so hard to do. And uh, I think it's going to be amazing if half of the arcades around the country survive this. I think we'll be lucky.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're right with that. We've already seen quite a few places close. You know, some of the more famous places like Modern Pinball in New York closed their
Yeah.
doors.
Oh, that one was it looked like Wedgeheads. They're in a tough or not opening spot. Some of my favorite places.
Yeah, it's almost every week you see one or two places throw in the towel, and and it's not like the thirst for going out and playing pinball, playing video games, and just going out and having a good time. It's just in a lot of these areas, like you said, they're not allowed to open up, and I don't think that everybody understands that. And then getting back to what you're saying earlier about people doing things, like selling merch, doing GoFundMe, things like that. Hopefully people aren't getting numb to that, and I definitely don't want them to. And that's one of the ideas behind talking to people like you and people like Logan is I definitely want people to know that there are passionate people behind this industry that have are the reason why pinball came back in the way that it did. And in the one thing also, and it is a shameless plug, but you have the best merch by
Thank
far.
you.
And
Thank you so much.
yeah, and I'm literally I wear this shirt so much. It's a 3/4 sleeve. Is that what they're called?
Yep, three-quarter
Um,
sleeve.
yeah, so it's like a baseball jersey, but it is glow in the dark, and I have worn this a lot and washed it a lot, and it still glows like the Dickens.
It's amazing how bright that glow is. Every time I wear it, you go into a dark bathroom and before you flick on the light, it sort of scares you with your reflection in the mirror, like there's just floating Electric Bat Arcade.
No, seriously, I have it. I'm not paying attention, and then I see that exactly what you just described. Like, whoa, oh yeah, I'm wearing my favorite shirt. That's why. And you had also mentioned that you have a glow in the dark cups as well.
Yep, whenever you get tiki drinks, they come in a glow in the dark plastic cup that you get to take home.
It is
They also,
awesome.
yeah, which I like the glow in the dark stuff.
So if you want to get awesome merchandise, where do you go
You can
to buy this?
you can go on our website, electricbatarcade.com, and there's a merch page, and you can pick it all up.
And then you also have been doing streaming as well.
Yes, we've been streaming. It's been a learning curve for sure, but I feel like the visuals and stuff, like now we've upgraded, figured out how to use a lot of gear that we happen to already have camera-wise. And every Sunday at 1 p.m. right now, Pacific time or Arizona time, because we're not daylight savings folks down here.
Okay, really quick with that. I did have to check that before I scheduled this with you. And I was like, okay, wait, are they Pacific time right now or are they Mountain time? And so
Yeah.
I'm glad I got it right instead of, making you wait an hour. So I was
No,
really
I
scared
double
about that.
checked on it. I checked to see, like, does he know? Because, you can't expect people to keep track of Arizona's weird time stuff. So I did double check, but thank you. That was thoughtful. But yeah, we're doing a lot of streaming. It's been so much fun. Just figuring it all out. Like, I had no idea when we started streaming that it was anything more than plug in camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, hit go on OBS, and there you are. Jack Danger has a great tutorial on, like, how to get started, and of course we went through all that. Our friend Emoto Arcade, she had given us several months before that some cameras, some like webcam style stuff that got us started, and we just went from there. But man, it is so much more complicated than I realized. Like, just getting stuff to sync right and getting it to look correct, and how to just all the little things about emotes and how all those work on Twitch. And it's been so fun though. We have different people come in from the community and play with us, and sometimes they're people that are really, really good. Like last week we had some friends that are good, and I wanted to really learn House of Horrors, so I wanted to invite them to come play that with me. So I didn't have to do all the research myself about about everything. And it's a party every week.
Yeah, and so now with that, and I'm learning as I'm going with this, and hopefully I'll get better at this. But as far as the streaming, I mean, are you, every time you do it, are you learning new things as you do? Because as you said, like, you learn from Jack, you learn from Emoto, or that they helped you out on things. But I imagine there's little tweaks that you do, every week that's kind of getting you a little more,
Yeah,
make it easier or whatnot.
yeah, we have upgraded cameras, and that's just, we didn't know, whose computer would be able to handle it better, and how just, the actual processing side of it, how that's going to work, what kind of settings you can use to optimize various things, and what happens whenever you think you have better, better bit rates available than what just, there's just so many little things. So yeah, we tweak it a little bit each week. We've recently started recording them, so you can go back and watch. I'm glad that we
And what
didn't.
is your address on Twitch?
Twitch / Electric Bat Arcade, Twitch TV Electric Bat Arcade.
Okay.
We're pretty easy to find anywhere across the internet. There's not a lot of Electric Bat Arcade stuff that isn't us. I would say that there's none.
Well, it is. So not only are the location that I've seen, I haven't been to Flagstaff yet, but it is one of the coolest designs that you, I mean, just the name is awesome, but the design that you create now, did you do that yourself?
I did. Yeah,
It's awesome.
thank you. Pretty much everything that you saw was all me at that time.
So
Now
you're using your degree.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and now our social media stuff, I used to also run all of that, and Kale does 98% of that now. So a lot of the stuff you see on social is him, and he
Okay.
does a great job. He was he was an art director for, I think, 8 years or something. So he's great at all of that. I don't have to learn Final Cut or any of those things to make videos. He just boop, 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 pops it out, and it's really cool.
Yeah, no, your social is very good. It's you have fun with it, where it's you do the close-ups of the play fields, and it's the guess what game it is, and
Mhm.
things like that. But yes, just the quality is good. It's not just the same thing over and over again, which a lot of locations do, and that's fine. That's not their main focus is social. But I mean, seriously, you guys you're a delight to follow, because
Thank you.
it's definitely fun, and then you can be found Electric Bat Arcade on all the platforms, all the socials.
Right. Yep. Yep.
Okay.
We're there. So I have some questions for you about your operator meeting. I'm just a little bit
Yes.
curious about what you found. I've talked to a couple of my friends that are operators out here, and a lot of them are selling games, not necessarily because they need the money, but because they don't see the places, like their locations are closing. They don't have a place to put it. So those games are kind of going out of the operator circulation and into the home arcade circulation. Are you finding that that's happening a lot, kind of across country?
So it's really interesting. When you look at operators as a whole, it sounds weird. Even though pinball was such a big thing, with operators, especially in the 70s and 80s, that a lot of them got out of it, and a lot of the bigger ones are just now getting back into pinball. And then you also have, what I call the pinball enthusiast operators. These are people that were pinball collectors and had a gigantic collection like you did, and like, I don't want to pay for all the storage, and wow, I can make a business out of this. And I'm totally oversimplifying it, and I know that. But so you're seeing more of those folks kind of get into it as well. But what you're seeing is I think the first purge, if you will, are the games that people are getting rid of pool tables. Pool is used to be a staple in bars, and now it is becoming less and less popular. And in some states, pool is not allowed at all to be played. That is one of the big no-nos for coming back
Oh,
from the
for
pandemic.
COVID, yes, yes.
Yes, yeah, because it's very touchy-feely with
Mhm.
the different cues and whatnot, right? Um, and so you're seeing a lot of operators, they're trying to sell these, or some of them are just literally going to the dump and just pushing pool tables out there. And then you're really seeing that they're getting rid of the equipment that is not making as much money or is not worth anything. And then it gets back to pinball, because as you know, as an operator, pinball may not make the most amount of money in location, but it's really good for a bar, because people there will stay on the machine a lot longer and drink more, and they'll be at the location. So it's basically, it's almost like a loss leader. It keeps the person there, and they're drinking more, so it's better for the bar. But the secret, or probably not much of a secret now, is that pinball has really kept its value, and in some locations, some of the value of these older games has increased dramatically, and especially now with COVID. This is the most ridiculous thing to say, but we're kind of in a bit of a pinball shortage right now. And
Mhm.
it's very difficult to get your hands on pinball right now, not just new, but also used. And so I think that a lot of these operators, it's a very long answer to a short question, but what they're doing is they're kind of holding on to the pinball machines a little bit longer than the rest of the equipment, because they know that's the stuff, is that if they need some money, then that's
Mhm.
what they're going to start selling. And as you know, as we get closer to the holiday season, is when usually the prices of used games go up a little bit more, because people start thinking of them as gifts. But now that people are stuck in their homes, they've been buying games more and more often, or renting games from you and from other operators. So
Okay.
yeah, so
Interesting.
so
Yeah.
that's what I've been seeing out there.
I'm glad that they are hanging on to them, because I worry about, like, whenever everything does open back up, you don't want a city that had, 500 locations machines to have 200 location machines or something. Um, it's just going to be really interesting, I think, what we see across the board. I mean, we don't even know how many bars are going to be around after this. I've just seen tons of arcades close, lots of bars. Just it's it's just a tough time for everybody.
Yeah, it is, and I don't want to, make light, not make light, but I think that when everything settles down and we're able to get out of this, and whether it's a vaccine or whatever it is, where the numbers are low enough where we can have some sort of normalcy, that you're going to have a lot of locations, a lot of arcades that a lot of bars and arcades that did not make it. But I think there's going to be opportunity for folks to reopen, or hopefully the folks that did close, or maybe they're able to open up in a new location. It's because, again, the desire did not go away.
Hmm.
The people love the fact that you can go out and play these games in fun environments like Electric Bat, like Quarter World, like Logan Arcade in Chicago. All these fun places have become second homes, and that's not. Yes, there are going to be some folks that are going to stay home a little bit more because maybe they're immunocompromised, but for the most part, people want to get out and socialize.
Hmm.
I am the father of two teenagers, and they want to get out more than anything right now.
Oh, I can't even imagine being a teenager right now. Um, yeah, we've seen that with our limited reopening in Tempe. We're running time slot tournaments, so 10 people can come in at a time, and it's best game style. So you play 12 games, and I'm recording all the scores, and we have many. We have lots of time slots available, um, so we can stagger the entire tournament and still get people through there. And it fills up. You have to sign up on a Google Doc sort of thing, and it fills up sometimes in an hour after we announce it. I mean, it's just there are so many people that want to play in tournaments, and there's obviously no IFPA points available. We're not doing like big prizes. You get a rad like little homemade horror certificate. Um,
They said homemade horse. How do you make a horse? That's
that
amazing.
but yeah, that desire, people do really want to see their friends, or feel like regular time again.
Yes. Yeah. Stern Army is not. Stern Army is a thing that Stern Pinball does, that is in collaboration with IFPA, and IFPA, the way that it runs is they talk to all the state directors and say, okay, do you feel comfortable with doing events? And it's a vast majority of them have said no, and rightfully so.
Hmm.
For most places, like we've talked about, aren't even able to be open, but people want to go out there and play with their friends. And and I believe you guys just did a pin golf tournament. Am I making that up, or?
Yeah, we did a ping golf tournament, so you had 4 days. It was spread over 4 days, so people could kind of come in and do it at their leisure. It was 18 holes. um, I don't remember how many people participated. It was somewhere around 50.
That's
So
awesome.
so we had people just want to come out. But it's nice if you spread it out over all of your open hours over 4 days. Then it never gets crowded, and it works out. And we're trying to think of new. Pin golf is my favorite tournament format anyway, but I'd like to do some more tournaments that are that style, where like best game, where you're not, it's not match play. You're not playing with a bunch of people. You're on your own machine, doing it at your own pace, or you can do it with a partner. Um, but I think it's going to be a while before we're doing any sort of match play. So we're coming up with just new. I mean, pin golf isn't a new format, but we'd like to come up with some new actual formats, since there's not going to be any points available anyway. Like, let's just do some weird stuff, come up with all kinds of different challenges, um, get creative, and just do fun weird things. That's what we're good at. So
Tiki bar slash pinball place inside a punk bar. So that is creative. And I think that's what you're going to see coming out of this, is that the people that are going to survive are the people that are getting creative, are figuring out fun ways to cope with this. and you're definitely one of the ones that I'm excited to see, what you're doing, every week when I log into Instagram, or when I spy on you on the Twitch feeds. But yeah, I just I'm excited, for not just your location Tempe, but I mean you are one of the few that are actually saying, okay, screw you, COVID. I'm opening up a second location, and I wish you the best. And thank you so much for being a guest on BallSave.
Thank you so much. It's been so awesome talking to you. I hope I get to see you in person soon.
Yes, definitely. I hope so too. So let me stop this really quick.